A cold December wind blew through the streets of New York City, rattling the holiday decorations that lined Fifth Avenue. Snow had begun to settle on the sidewalks, forcing pedestrians to pull their coats tighter as they rushed past the glowing storefronts. Among the flurry of Christmas shoppers, a lone man sat hunched against a lamppost, his ragged coat barely shielding him from the chill. His name was Samuel "Sam" Bridges, a Vietnam veteran who had seen better days. Once a proud Marine, he had spent years struggling with PTSD, addiction, and bad luck. Life had tossed him from one hardship to another, and now, at 62, he found himself living on the streets, relying on the kindness or indifference of passers-by. Sam looked up at the towering glass facade of Trump Tower, its golden sign shimmering under the city lights. He had seen many wealthy people come and go through those doors, dressed in designer suits, stepping out of luxury cars, their lives far removed from the struggles of people like him. With a deep sigh, he adjusted the cardboard sign beside him. It read, "A veteran down on his luck. Anything helps. God bless." He reached into his pocket, feeling the few crumpled dollar bills he had collected throughout the day. It wasn't much. As he sat there, a tall teenager in a black wool coat emerged from the building, stepping onto the sidewalk. His blonde hair, neatly combed back, gleamed under the streetlights. Though still youthful, there was a sense of maturity in his sharp blue eyes. Sam recognized him instantly. Barron Trump, the 18-year-old son of the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Barron, now a young man, had grown up under the media's watchful eye. He was known for keeping a low profile, rarely engaging in public controversies like his father. Despite the immense privilege he had been born into, he carried himself with an air of quiet independence, often seen alone rather than surrounded by bodyguards or cameras. Sam hesitated for a moment before speaking. He had asked many for help that day. Some ignored him, some gave him a quarter, and others muttered, "Get a job," under their breath. But something about the young Trump intrigued him. Taking a deep breath, Sam called out, his voice hoarse from the cold. "Hey, young man, can you spare $1?" Barron stopped in his tracks. His eyes locked onto Sam's weathered face. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then, to Sam's surprise, he smiled. Not the forced, practiced grin of a politician's son, but a genuine, thoughtful smile. Instead of reaching into his pocket, Barron did something unexpected. He knelt down, so he was at eye level with Sam, and said words that left the old veteran stunned. "Sir, I think we need to talk." Sam blinked in confusion. He had expected a few things from Barron Trump, perhaps an awkward glance, a polite rejection, or even a crisp bill handed over in silence. But he hadn't expected him to kneel down and actually engage. The young Trump rested his elbows on his knees, studying Sam carefully. His sharp blue eyes held no trace of judgment, only curiosity and something else that Sam couldn't quite place. "What's your name, sir?" Barron asked, his voice calm but firm. Sam hesitated. Most people who walked past him never even bothered to ask. He cleared his throat. Sam Bridges," he muttered. Barron nodded, glancing at the tattered cardboard sign beside him. "You're a veteran?" Sam shifted uncomfortably. "Yeah, Vietnam. Got home, but never really made it back, if you know what I mean." Barron was silent for a moment, then said, "I think I do." Sam scoffed. "Kid, you live in a penthouse. You got everything a man could ever want. What could you possibly know about coming home to nothing?" Barron didn't flinch. Instead, he sat down cross-legged on the icy sidewalk, completely ignoring the surprised looks of people passing by. "It's true," Barron admitted. "I've never been homeless. I've never fought in a war. But I do know what it's like to feel like you don't fit in, to have people assume things about you before they even talk to you." Sam frowned. "You? You're the son of the most powerful man in the world. What do you mean you don't fit in?" Barron exhaled, glancing up at the towering Trump Tower behind him. "Do you know how many people look at me and see nothing but my last name? They think they know me, think I must be arrogant, spoiled, or whatever else the media calls me. But none of them have ever really asked me who I am." Sam was silent. He hadn't expected an answer like that. Barron reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a crisp $100 bill. He held it between his fingers but didn't hand it over yet. "Sam, if I give you this, what happens next?" Sam stared at the bill, his mouth suddenly dry. $100 was a lot of money to someone like him, but the way Barron was asking made him hesitate. I'd get something to eat, Sam admitted. And after that? Barron pressed. Sam swallowed. Maybe a warm place to stay for the night. Barron nodded thoughtfully. But what about tomorrow? Sam sighed, rubbing his face. Tomorrow, I'll be right back here. Barron leaned forward, his voice quieter now. And do you want that? The question hit Sam harder than he expected. He had been stuck in this cycle for years, barely scraping by, barely hoping for anything better. But in this moment, with this kid, this billionaire's son, actually talking to him like a real person, something inside him stirred. No, Sam whispered. No, I don't. Barron studied him for a long moment, then made a decision. He put the $100 bill back in his pocket and pulled out his phone instead. Then let's change that. Sam watched, bewildered, as Barron tapped on his phone, his breath visible in the cold night air. What are you doing? Sam asked, his voice wary. Barron didn't look up. Getting you real help, not just a quick fix. Sam frowned. Kid, I appreciate the effort, but I don't need charity. I just needed $1. Barron's lips curled into a small smile as he finally looked up. And I don't believe that. If $1 could fix your life, you wouldn't be sitting here, freezing on the sidewalk. Sam felt his chest tighten. He had spent years accepting scraps, convincing himself that it was all he deserved. Now, this 18-year-old, someone who had never known hunger, never felt the sting of failure, was challenging that belief. Barron held his phone to his ear, then spoke. Hey, I need a favor. No, not for me. There's a veteran here, yeah, homeless. His name is Sam Bridges. Yes, I'm sure. Can you meet us? Sam blinked in confusion as Barron gave a location just a few blocks away. After hanging up, Barron turned to him. Come on. We're going to get out of the cold. Sam hesitated. Who was that? Your dad. Barron chuckled. No. Someone better. Before Sam could protest, Barron stood up and extended his hand. Trust me for just 1 hour. If you don't like where this goes, you can walk away, no strings attached. Sam stared at the outstretched hand. It had been years since anyone had asked him to trust them. Against his better judgment, he reached up and grasped it. Barron pulled him to his feet with surprising strength. Let's go. 15 minutes later, they arrived at a small but clean diner on the corner of Lexington. The warm air hit Sam like a wave as they stepped inside, the scent of fresh coffee and grilled food instantly making his stomach growl. A man in his early 40s, wearing a simple gray coat, stood near a booth in the back. When he saw Barron, he waved them over. Sam, this is James Carter, Barron introduced. Marine Corps, retired. Now he runs a program helping veterans get back on their feet. James extended a firm hand. Semper Fi, brother. Sam shook it cautiously. You served. James nodded. I did. And I know what it's like to come home to nothing. They sat down and James got straight to the point. Barron called me because he doesn't want to just hand you money. He wants to give you a real shot at getting your life back. And so do I. Sam stiffened. You don't even know me. James leaned forward. I don't have to. I've been where you are. And I know you can get out. Barron crossed his arms. You told me you didn't want to be here tomorrow. So let's do something about it. Sam felt his throat tighten. For the first time in years, he wasn't just being seen, he was being believed in. And that changed everything. Sam sat in stunned silence, staring at the two men across the diner booth. He had expected a quick handout, maybe a polite dismissal, but instead he was being offered something real, something life-changing. He clenched his hands, suddenly overwhelmed. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. James nodded, his expression serious. You're right, Sam. I don't know your whole story, but I know what it's like to feel lost. And I know that, deep down, you don't want to live like this. Barron leaned forward, resting his arms on the table. And I know that giving you $100 would make me feel good for 5 minutes. But it wouldn't actually change anything for you. Sam swallowed hard. He had spent so many years believing that no one cared, that he was just another forgotten soldier in a world that had moved on. But here were two people, completely different from him, fighting to pull him out of the hole he had fallen into. So what exactly are you offering? He asked cautiously. James smiled. A fresh start. My organization helps veterans get off the streets, find work, and get the support they need. We can get you a bed tonight at one of our shelters, help you apply for benefits you might not even know you qualify for, and connect you with people who won't just give you charity, but will actually help you rebuild your life. Sam exhaled, rubbing his temples. It all sounded too good to be true. And what if I fail? He muttered. James's eyes darkened slightly. You will. More than once. We all do. But the difference is, this time you won't be alone. Sam looked down at the table. His mind was spinning, his chest tight with emotions he hadn't felt in years. Hope, fear, uncertainty. Then Barron spoke again, his voice quieter this time. Sam, I can give you $1 right now and walk away. Or you can take this chance and actually fight for something better. The words hit Sam like a gut punch. Because the truth was, he had been waiting. Waiting for someone to notice, waiting for something to change. And now, here it was. A choice. He took a shaky breath, looked at James, then at Barron. Okay, he said at last. I'll give it a shot. Barron smiled, standing up from the booth. Good. Let's get you out of here. As they stepped out of the diner, Sam looked up at the night sky, feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time. A reason to believe. The cold night air hit Sam's face as they stepped out of the diner, but for the first time in years, he barely felt it. Something inside him had shifted, like a door that had been locked for decades had finally creaked open. James led the way, walking with the confidence of a man who had spent years helping people like Sam. Barron walked beside him, hands in his coat pockets, his breath visible in the winter air. As they reached the curb, a black SUV pulled up. Sam tensed instinctively, old street habits kicking in. But James clapped him on the back. Relax, brother. This ride is for you. Sam hesitated. Where are we going? James smiled. A safe place. A warm bed. And a fresh start. Sam glanced at Barron, who simply nodded. You've got this. For a moment, doubt clawed at Sam's mind. Could he really do this? Was he too far gone? But then he remembered Barron's words. If $1 could fix your life, you wouldn't be sitting here. Taking a deep breath, Sam stepped into the SUV. As the door shut behind him, he looked out the window, watching Barron standing under the streetlights, his hands still tucked into his coat pockets. Sam rolled down the window. Hey, kid. Barron looked up. Sam smirked. You never actually gave me that $1. Barron grinned. That's because I gave you something better. The SUV pulled away, merging into the traffic of New York City. As Sam leaned back in his seat, for the first time in years, he felt something he thought he had lost forever. Hope. And that was worth more than $1. Epilogue. 6 months later, the sun shone bright over Washington, D.C., casting a golden glow over the south lawn of the White House. A crowd had gathered, cameras flashing as a group of veterans stood proudly on the stage. Among them was Sam Bridges, standing tall in a clean suit, his beard neatly trimmed, a newfound strength in his eyes. At the podium, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, spoke into the microphone. Today, we honor those who have served this country and those who continue to fight battles long after the war is over. And I want to introduce someone who embodies that fight, Sam Bridges, a Vietnam veteran who, with the help of incredible people, turned his life around. The audience erupted in applause as Sam stepped forward. He cleared his throat, glancing toward the front row where Barron sat, arms crossed, a knowing smile on his face. Sam chuckled. 6 months ago, I asked this young man for $1. Instead, he gave me something much more valuable, a reason to fight again. He turned to Barron. Thank you, kid. You changed my life. Barron simply nodded. And for the first time in years, Sam Bridges wasn't just surviving. He was living.